That sounds awesome. Can you tell me how people could do that? Is it possible to do something like that when you don't have a lot of savings? Like, because you're talking about leverage, using other people's money. Can an average person who doesn't have a lot of their own money use leverage to go out there and buy 5 to 10 homes? I mean, I know you said take it slow, but like
Yeah.
at some point you get to that place. Like, what's the game plan to get there?
Well, and there's always an exception to every rule, and everyone will say like 2010 was different than now. But this year alone, we've helped a couple. Basically she's driven the ship, but it's a couple in northern Oklahoma, and they have already purchased 8 properties, refinanced 5, have them all rented, and they're about to buy 5 more. So this year there'll be somewhere between 10 and 15 properties that they purchased with little to no money. Once again, they're in a smaller community. The properties were smaller. Us as a lender liked the properties and what they were doing, so we could finance more or finance all of it. And then they rolled them into a long-term loan, paid us off, and then did it again. So maybe in some markets it's a little tougher because of the price points, but it is still happening in a lot of the smaller communities and smaller markets where people are finding properties at 50, 60 cents on the dollar. Lenders who like that kind of those numbers and leverage, they could fund 100% of it. The purchase, the rehab, get it rented, and then they refinance it into a long-term loan, pay us completely off. They have nothing into them. So those are still out there and they're still available. You just have to be more flexible in where you look. Like, we're in the Denver market. Finding those would take you, like 10 of them would probably take you 3 to 5 years that you could buy.
For the 50, 60, 70 cents of the dollar that makes a lender and that's the condition you need. You need to be able to buy something
70
market
cents,
value.
Like 70 cents and below what market value is.
And then a lender is jumping at it to provide 100% funding.
Well, it's just like any other product. Money is just like any bank. Every bank has their own, like, what they like and what they don't like, and like what they're conservative on and not. There are lenders out there, yes, just like we do some of those 100% financing on deals. The majority don't, but there's still a good 10 to 20% of the lenders out there who do. That's where, when I'm telling, like, how do you set this up? How do you do it right? You have to reach out to so many lenders. You have to, get involved in networks and find out who is doing that, because the majority of them who are doing them are busy enough that they're not advertising a lot. They're not out there searching, because the majority of them are going to want 10% to 20% of your own money in, which is still not, depending on the price point, it's what some people still can do, but it's a little bit harder. If you could do 100%, we just did 3 loans for a person who buys homes. He's more of a wholesaler this month in August, and we did 100% finance because he bought them at great numbers. Now he is flipping, he's selling all of them. He's not going to keep them, but all 3 of those properties would have met the criteria where he had nothing in, refinanced them out, and kept them. But with where interest rates are and their $500,000 homes, cash flows is what is keeping them from doing that at this point in time. Another point is just like his, is if you could afford to hold those and probably break even for a couple of years, and when rates come back down and you refinance them into better rates, then your cash flow will kick in. So people who could buy under market properties right now and at least break even, in a couple of years when rates come back down, they're going to be in a great position because they have a lot of equity, and now they cash flow too.
So then they could sell their properties for a profit, use that profit to and then their cash flow that they can use to get more funding for new properties.
Yeah, that's true too. But I'm just let's look at an example. Let's say someone bought a house and they have a $400,000 mortgage, and rates right now are 7%. And that payment, and I have no clue, but I'm just going to say it's $3,000 a month. In 2 years, rates go back down to 5%. If they just did a straight refinance, just paid off their old mortgage with a new mortgage at 5%, that payment will probably go down $500 to $1,000 a month. So they kept the same house, they kept the same mortgage, they just refinanced into a better rate, and now their cash flow's increased. Like I said, it's somewhere in there that we see this happen all the time. People will buy properties that are under market, and when times like this, they may break even, but then when rates come back down, they'll be able to refinance those properties and their cash flow goes way up. You just can't rely on cash flow for those properties during that time. So, but it is a strategy to pick up properties where other people won't look at it because they want cash flow. But if you're an investor who's like, I'm making money on my job, I'm making money on here, I want a future, I want this to be my 401k or some income in the future, you can start picking up properties now.
Gotcha. So you're saying
the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay, so the next 6 to 12 months, you're not expecting to make the kind of money that you would in a different economic environment, but you're saying that it's a future investment because
it's exponential for the future.
Yeah.
Because let's go through an example again. Something that's $400,000, you could buy for $350 now, and in 2 years it's probably going to be worth $450 or $500. So if you bought 10 of those, at $350 right now, you may have $50,000 in equity per property, $500,000. In 2 years, you just shot up to what, $1.5 million in equity, in net worth, you just created over $1 million for yourself that you could leverage. You could do many things with because you were able to buy under market and just at least break even, tread water, let's call it. And then when the market took off, you could either sell that property and make it, or you could keep it because when you refinance it, because you're either creating wealth or cash flow, and sometimes the rental is both. But if you're buying properties and selling them, that's just, you're just creating, it's kind of like changing your payroll for selling homes. Every year I sell 4 homes, I make $40,000 in each home. That's my income, and I use it. I put my money away in my retirement. I spend some of it. It's just like taking over for your business. Other people do rentals where they might make some money every month, or they make money every month, but at the end of it, they still own the properties. And maybe when they retire, they own 10 homes, and maybe they'll sell a home every 5 years to pay their retirement, or they refinance home every 5 to 10 years. That's kind of like another 401k bucket besides that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So you're either flipping the properties quickly and using the money now, or it's going to be long-term. And there's people who do both. Like they use the flips to pay their bills, and they buy rentals for, I call it the retirement fund.
Yeah, that's the retirement fund.
Yeah.